Hey, what's up guys? My name is Jack TechMilB, and today I want to be discussing something that has been pretty active, I want to say. Just something that kind of affects a lot of things that I do on a daily basis. And it's not something that's like actively going to hinder anything I do. I can still do the things I do normally. It's just further, I would like to say, indulgent in a lot of the things I do in my everyday life does get hindered by some of the stuff I would like to talk about today. For those of you who might not know, there's been a recent controversy with basically Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, the parent company of both Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, which, if you know anything about my channel, I featured both pretty prominently. I mainly was D&D for a while, but I recently started picking up Magic the Gathering, and I wanted to do more content with that, and I still do. I'm not stopping anything with that. I'm still going to actively enjoy the games and play them, but the issue with that is there's a lot of things in both of those areas right now that are pretty bad, honestly. Very, very difficult. A lot of different opinions back and forth, and whenever I think of something that's controversial, I try and look at both sides, both parties, and think, hey, I'm sure people have reasons for doing what they're doing, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, but I really wanted to go through and do, and I might be wrong with what I'm about to say, I don't know the exact timeline of events of what's happening right now with all of it, but I do know for a fact that there are some things I wanted to lay out, because it's just, my understanding of the whole situation is, here, let's just go ahead and get started. Like, from my memory, what happened with, and if you don't know, I'm going to address some of the controversy, so if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to try and explain them to the best of my ability from what I know of. And again, none of what I'm saying I'm 100% certain on, so I'm just trying to, I'm trying to rationalize it to myself, honestly, and I just want to sit here and discuss it just out loud. This is just, if you guys, just put this on in the background or something, I don't know. I just wanted to say it. I'm also going to be uploading this to YouTube, so I don't know. I'm also trying to give a ground purpose, I'll put it like this. When I was in my high school television production class, there was a huge point of news. We were learning about why it's important and why it's relevant. And, yes, Ethan, learned it. Learned it, indeed. I don't think I have chat over the camera, or the I don't know how to fix that. I'll worry about that in a minute. No, I'll do it now. There we go. Ethan put getting learned today. He spelled it that way. It was funny. Alright, that was. But, anyway, so we focused on a lot of learning with news, letting news be something we can reflect on that video and see what it's like in the times of that when that video was produced, and that's what I wanted to do here, and show that that's the kind of viewpoint I'm checking on with this. So I'm going to try and provide as much context for what's going on in the moment as possible, because here's the thing, I don't matter at all in the bigger picture for all of this. This is not something that's individual to me. There's hundreds of thousands of people getting affected by it. And I don't matter, as an individual. It's just something I picked up along the way to put in perspective to help describe the situation as a whole. Because, I won't lie to you guys, I actively do participate in a lot of products, I should say, by Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. Both, actively. In fact, this is my... I did pick the setup for my, shelf to show this, but this is my D&D book collection that I have. All these are straight from my LGS, / a couple of them from Walmart, or ordered off Amazon from Wizards of the Coast directly. And also up here, I have a whole ass Transformers shelf because I was a Transformers fan when I was growing up, and I still enjoy the franchise even today. But both of those are owned by Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. I have a whole Magic collection sitting in a drawer over there that I'm obviously not going to show because I'm going to have my camera in a healthy, just good spot, I feel. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I remember hearing about... Okay, so all the time there's news articles. Wizards of the Coast did this shitty thing. Wizards of the Coast did that shitty thing. But no one mentions why it started. I remember seeing a few things about it, but everyone just pushes it down, deep and down. And I'm not saying this gives Wizards of the Coast reasons to do what they're doing. Actively ignoring your customers is a pretty shitty thing to do, especially when they're telling you exactly... Here's the thing. They're not even saying this is exactly what we want. They're just giving, a loose couple things that people want to see changes with both D&D and Dungeons & Dragons, and yet they just ignore that. And they choose what I personally view as a more selfish route with it. Because I remember at the beginning of, it might have been the end of last year, near the middle end of last year, I remember starting to see videos of, because I'm in Magic community, and people didn't even think D&D were going to be touched at the time to my knowledge, but a lot of people in the Magic community were saying, hey, Wizards of the Coast is going to start doing some really weird things because they're trying to, I think it was in the quadruple. I don't think it was doubling. I don't think it was tripling. I think it was quadrupling their sales. And they're already $1 billion company, so you know what I mean? Like, this is a major thing to say, hey, we're going to quadruple our sales. And when they did that, they started massive printing Magic cards. They started, not underprinting, they, not misprinting, lower quality in like the cardstock and stuff, and just massive printing stuff that wasn't as high quality as previously had before. And that was like the beginning of it. And it was like, okay, this is fine. Personally, for a guy who plays budget, it didn't affect me at the time. I got a job though eventually, and I started noticing some of the stuff in the environment. And it kind of got a little bit icky, but it never really affected me personally with that because I'm in a commander pod with my friends that one person has had the same deck for years since he started. He has the exact same deck from when he started with like 20 cards modified. It's a precon. I still have some of the original decks I started with, and I do make more occasionally, but they're all usually gimmick decks. They're not usually like, oh hey, I'm trying to make this to win. I have one that I do that with, and I've debuted it on my spell table page. It's the Atora the Incinerator, but I'm not going to go into that. Point is though, it's actively something I do every day. I'm saying actively a lot, but it's something I do frequently. And so whenever Hasbro, specifically Wizards of the Coast, said they were going to multiply that to their shareholders, they proceeded to focus not on them. I don't want to say they focused on them, but I'll put it like this. They said a lot of things, to my knowledge, from when obviously they're doing what they said now, or they're trying to. They're trying to do right by them. But not once have I seen, like, a genuine good idea in terms of, like, in the bigger picture. In the smaller stuff, yeah, like, oh, hey, this thing's released, this thing's done. Like, cool cards for Magic and the new for Phyrexia all be one set, cool. But not once in the bigger picture do you see anything, like, underneath it all, like, actively being beneficial to anyone in the future and long term. And what I mean by that is stuff like the OGL happening. Apparently there was leaks by a Wizards of the Coast employee, which here's the thing, I have no opinion of it, because while the person says it's a trustworthy source, you technically can't get anything from it. But I will say, the exact thing they said to do to make Wizards of the Coast back off worked, which was cancel D&D Beyond subscriptions. But whenever that leak happened, and they made it very clear that Wizards of the Coast does not really care about the individual customer as a whole, they just care about the shareholders, that really did put into perspective a lot of stuff that I was understanding. Because, like I said, here's the thing, if Wizards of the Coast genuinely walked up to people and just went, hey, we do need to increase our products, what is it that you guys are interested in buying, we can do that, and we can do it in a healthy way. Why is that just so hard to do? Because, again, it's not. Honestly, it's really not that hard to do. Because, yeah, I get it. You can't please everyone. That is not what I'm saying. But whenever you're literally just told, like, a few things like, hey, maybe a few things here, maybe a few things there, it's like they're going to people who have no idea what the fuck they're handling and talking about, and then they're doing something with it. That's not what you should be doing if you're trying to make money. That's actively what you're doing to lose it. In fact, I just read an article earlier today that they're apparently cutting at least 1,000 employees, or somewhere above, like, near that number, because of the stock prices plummeting, because of the really shitty mistakes they've done. Or, here's the thing, I wouldn't say they're mistakes if... I wouldn't be so harshly critical towards it if, again, it seemed like they actually had any thought or care in any of the decisions they're making. Because, again, they are going, hey, we know that OGL sounded scary. We didn't mean for it to sound scary to you all as a whole. It's only meant to affect these particular people that we are seeing that actually know what the fuck they're doing, and we don't. But they also didn't word it that way. I'm being a little critical. But you know what I mean. They're going, hey, those people, more successful than us. Instead of us just doing something right, we're just going to tarnish them and just kick them out and then do it. They could do that. I'm not saying they would do that, by the way. I'm not saying that. But given the fact that they can't seem to do anything right, I'm sure they would love to try doing something else wrong. So, I'm just personally saying, like, I don't think there's a single person right now that would disagree with the fact that if they could just do... here's the thing, they're doing fun... Like I said, the new Magic set looks fucking awesome. I already pre-ordered a couple cards myself, but it's nothing... I didn't order any of the big ones because they're already so high, expensive in price that it's not worth it to me. But, for example, I actually did buy another book the other day, and I did because, basically, I like playing D&D, you know what I mean? I bought the release of Tyranny of Dragons from my local Walmart. I didn't get to see it at my LGS yet. I just saw it at Walmart, and I was like, hey, I'm going to pick this up, because I didn't even know it was out, considering I thought they weren't making it. I thought it was just, like, a little bit... I didn't understand the release of Tyranny of Dragons, because I thought it was, like, a release for, like, a collector's thing, and then it went out of stock, and I didn't know they were going to redo it one day, and they did, and I was really happy to see that, because I've been wanting the stats for Tiamat for a while. But that's something cool. I thought that was really neat that they released that. That doesn't seem like it's the... You saw it at the LGS? I'm glad to hear that, Ethan. But I'm not... I hadn't made it to my local LGS yet. I got paid that day, had to go to Walmart for groceries, saw it, and I was like, hell yeah. But beside the point, they are doing some things right. Like, example, I love that release. That's cool. However, it really does seem like literally everything they're about to do... Okay, and here's the thing. This is an example of something they're doing in the now that looks great. It's something on the surface to keep the people who don't know any better and don't look into things just calm and happy. New D&D book. Cool. Even though this is already 2 books combined that have already been released years ago. For $50 each. Now it's $40 at Walmart. Or... I believe LGS is still keeping them at the 50 price because it's the suggested retail. I don't blame them. That's how they make money. I'm not out to target LGSs because they seem to be the only people who are having good spirits about this. But honestly, if you look into it, nothing in the long term is trying to be helpful. Everything they're trying to do is monetize the shit, especially out of D&D. We'll get to Magic in a minute, but D&D recently has been taking a lot more fire than Magic. Originally, this all started with, to my knowledge, I don't know about the D&D scope, but people were really hammering that Magic is going to start sucking ass, and it was kind of already in a murky area anyway. But this all stuff is coming out of nowhere. Like, it's... I understand if you want to make more money out of the product that you've been doing for years. I understand that Wizards of the Coast has thrown bones before in some areas. I can't think of any in the moment, but I know they have. I know they do, or have. They're not... At times, they're not the absolute worst. But there's other things that they do that really are soulless and heartless. Because here's the thing, you can have a lovable company. There's so many companies that just have even a spokesperson alone that could be super comfortable. Can you think of a single Wizards of the Coast employee off the top of your head? If you're just a standard Magic player or D&D player who doesn't look into anything like that, can you think of a single name of a single Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro employee? The only one I can think of is Mark Rosewater personally, but I know of a couple more that I've seen in some videos for Magic and D&D and stuff over the years. But that's the thing. You have a company that doesn't have a face because everything's so internal and not even discussed with the players. How do I put it? It's like those movies where you see like a two-faced mirror where it's like they're standing behind and just watching everyone do everything and just writing stuff down. There's no interaction there. It's just watching it, thinking you know what you're getting out of it, and you're not. I feel like, yes, they talk to fans. I'm not saying they don't. There's a lot of... for example, they've been doing a lot of YouTubers and collaborations for like stuff for Magic and stuff for the releases, and I'm very happy to see that. That's cool. I like that. I know some of the YouTubers from just watching them. I like seeing that content, and I'm glad they're doing that. But they're very pick and choose as well. They pick the YouTubers who kind of just... One example, or I'll put an example. I'm not going to give any names, but like for example, there was a lore YouTuber who was recently on one of the videos giving lore about the new set, and that's the thing. They're very pick and choosy of someone who's more of just like... I'm not saying casual fan. He likes the stuff. However, not once you ever probably heard, to my knowledge, anything critical about it. This department is severely lacking. Again, I've seen videos where, like, for example, I'm going back to the Magic side, the professor from Toyer Community College, that YouTube channel, he did a video with, I believe it was the guy who does the ban list for, I believe, Commander, and the whole point of it was trying to ban Dockside. But, I mean, I'm kidding, but there was other things he brought up with it, and it's not that the guy didn't seem like he wanted to talk about it, but he kept a very corporate tone with it. Now, he made some good points. They had an actual conversation, so I'm not saying it was the most soulless thing in the world. However, you have to really, like, look to find anything. Because Wizards of the Coast is also just kind of silent about issues. They don't exactly just go ahead and say, hey, They'll give people what they want, literally just to get them to stop talking. That's it. They'll give you what you're wanting, just so they don't have to hear you complain. Because I'm pretty sure there was even a direct quote where they said, where the leaker apparently, like I said, but the leaker apparently was flat out saying, yeah, they just view you as something between you and them and their money. And I can understand. I don't understand why that would be the way they'd say it. I don't understand why, again, it has to be some big soulless thing. I'm not trying to sit here and just say, hey, Wizards, here's how you fix your problem. I'm just trying to talk about the situation because this is what it looks like to someone who's trying to understand it all. And again, if you need to raise your profits, yeah, do it in a healthy way. They are doing it, but let me give you another example. Okay, so here, this is, again, proof. I actively follow D&D, and one of the, I believe Tyranny of Dragons, or the first book in it, I think it was Prince of the Apocalypse, but I'm not sure off the top of my head, was one of the first D&D modules for 5th edition. again, I didn't hear a single thing about this release. I just happened to get it when I found it. The last release I have heard about, besides on leak subreddits, was Spelljammer, which I have sitting right here. That is the last genuine release I have heard about. Now, that could just be because, I'm not saying their advertisement team didn't kick in, but it really just feels like I haven't heard anything in the market of D&D right now. It feels like they're trying to throw stuff to the wall, see what sticks, except they're only throwing, like, garbage out. You know what I mean? I don't see the point in a few of their decisions. I really don't, because it's you could do so good. You could do that. You could somehow quadruple your profits, because it's not just they're going, oh, we got to quadruple Magic or we got to quadruple D&D. It's not just that. It really isn't. You know what I mean? And I get it. If they want to try and get a little bit more out of their product, that's fine. It is if you do it right. It is completely okay if you do it right. And it'd also help if you were clear with your customers. Because that's the people giving you the money. That's the people who are going to look at this stuff and say, hey, cool. You know what I mean? Like, practically, I'm not saying that, and this is all speculation. Everything I'm saying right now is for speculation. Probably the reason I probably didn't hear about that is either I just didn't look well enough, or two, they probably didn't want to hear. Okay, every post I've seen in Magic recently from their Twitter page has all just been them spamming the card greed underneath over and over again. I even put one time whenever it was the Magic 30th anniversary thing, just to be funny, because I also own the card greed, and it's a really good card for card draw sometimes. But anyway, not important. It's like back alley doctor slapping a Band-Aid on your broken leg. Yeah, again, it really sucks to see someone or something, like the company in this case, only show growth and benefit for favor of the customer when you're backed into a corner and you're losing all of your money, and then you're forced to say, hey, that OGL, maybe we'll change it. Yeah, you know what, you're right. We actually hear you now that, we didn't see the fact that we were completely trending for being complete assholes. We didn't see any of that or anything like that. I'm not saying you have to watch Twitter to be a company, but I'm just saying, like, hey, we were definitely told this is a bad idea dozens of times by literally everyone, including some of our lower employees, but why listen to them? We'll totally get money. And sure, yeah, they did, but they definitely have not gotten anywhere near what they thought they'd get. When you expect to quadruple your profits and you don't even make what you normally make off of a product if you wouldn't have had the controversy, that's pretty fucking bad if you ask me. It is. I don't see any sort of benefit from that. Again, they are doing... Okay, some of the company's decisions are just doing fine. They're doing normally what they did before. But with all the stuff surrounding it, that's not good anymore. You know what I mean? Okay, if it was just them still being even just dull, you know what I mean? Like, there's not a single controversy, like the OGL thing would have never happened, or like maybe the card stock on Magic's just a slightly bit suckier. I didn't even mention the misprints, like all in like Brothers War and stuff. There's actively cards from supposedly, again, this is people that could be doing stuff, but I mean they were accurate, so I don't know. Where apparently Phyrexia All Will Be One rares made it into Brothers War packs, or was it Dominaria Remastered? It was one of the two. It's really weird. Well, they've been backed into a corner about being called out for calling out a customer blockage, or calling customer blockage money. Like, you can't treat your customers like trash and expect them to continue to demand your product. Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, like me. I'm not trying to just be self-insertive. I'm not trying to show I know what I'm talking about, but I feel like I have to show why I'm coming at this, why I am. I have been playing D&D for a while. I own a lot of the books. I plan to get more in the future. I don't know at the moment if I want to, considering everything that's been going on, but there's like at least 3 more I plan on getting that are just some adventure books, but I don't need any adventures because I can kind of make literally anything I fucking want to using these. I'm not going to go into what they are. That's not the point of this video or live stream. The point of this live stream is I want to do more with what they already have. But I'm not a single shred, even a shred bit excited for anything moving forward. The only thing, I can tell you, the only D&D release that they are planning to make that I want to get is Planescape, because it sounds good in theory. The concept of it sounds good in theory. The concept of Spelljammer sounded really good in theory too, until I heard they gutted it for 5th edition, and they took out a lot of the good things. Like, everyone had to homebrew anything to make anything, like, worth a damn from the book. Now, I'm not saying I can't do anything with this. I have a whole Spelljammer campaign I'm starting to run. I enjoy it. I find it really interesting as a concept. But that's good. But your product should never be good on paper, bad in practice. That's what you have playtesting for. They actively do things to playtest this. I'm not saying, again, they don't go to fans, but how the fuck are we going to know that when they don't tell us what they are doing behind the scenes? Because whatever they are doing behind the scenes is fucking dumb and not getting anywhere. Just saying. Okay, again, I know there's people in Wizards of the Coast trying to. Like, genuinely, you can see that every day, that there are people coming out and saying, hey, you know, we kind of told our boss this is a bad decision, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's not those people's fault. It's not. It's the whoever the fuck is approving all these really stupid decisions, because they're like, people won't care, we're a big company, we can do whatever we want, there's no competition out there. Well, it really sucks, because the second you caused an issue, like three competitors that people cheered for and celebrated popped up, you know what I mean? I'm talking like Pathfinder, specifically, I believe, was making their own OGL kind of thing, or there was some sort of brand that was making their own OGL that literally never is going to change. And that's progress, that's growth, that's giving people what they actually want, not even like partially what they want, that's giving people what they wanted. You know, it's almost like the original OGL wasn't even supposed to be changed in the first place. If you didn't know that, look it up. They said they weren't going to change that ever, it was going to stay as it is. But then they give I think it was, you either had to change it in 30 days to the new OGL, or you had a week, one of the two. It was going to go in place, they were just going to announce it and drop it and leave it and watch everything burn. You can't talk shit if you aren't ready to get hit. Wizards got cocky. Yeah, I will honestly say that. They did, and that's really sad, because there is a lot of good things they have done. There's a lot of cool things. I'm not saying I would know, but I feel like I would know. There's things that they've done that scratch my particular interest or itch of wanting to just enjoy. There's a lot of things they have. I can point at my Magic collection too. I'm not saying that just because they designed a bad card one time out of 250 cards or however many cards are in a set, that means that's a bad move on Wizards. It's not that. It's the fact that like Mythics weren't popping up in packs, or like cards got misprint and miscut so often, or just stuff like that. Or I actively have like a lot of packs that I've noticed have been weird. I had one pack that had the same rare in it 3 times. It was every individual different art of that rare. I believe it was John Ericlus from Baldur's Gate, if that's the name of the card I'm thinking of. It's blue-black, black-green, or blue-green, I believe, and I can't remember which one it is. Or green-black. No, it's not green-black. I don't know, but I got that card 3 times. One was in normal, one was in, like, showcase foil, or whatever it's called, and one, I believe, was the textured foil. I don't remember what it was called. But it was 3 different arts. I don't know if that might not be a good example, but that was the first time I noticed. I was like, to be fair, that's the same card 3 times. I don't think there's really ever a chance, unless it's like an actual rare card, where that's ever going to be a really good thing. And by rare card, I mean one that you're going to be able to, like, no offense, have value in, because I personally can't remember the last time I've sold a card. I'm not a gambler kind of guy. I buy cards to use them in decks. I don't buy cards to save them up for value later, or to collect cards. I have a whole binder full of cards that I just like to have in my collection, and that I use if I get a chance to, but I'm not, not looking out for it. It's just something I do. I am a collector of a lot of things. That's why I have these physical books. That's why I even just Transformers. You know what I mean? I just enjoy a lot of this stuff, and it sucks to see a hobby you enjoy become so vilified because of the company that made its actions. It really kind of sucks to see, because I'm still going to play D&D, I really am, but, and again, people on the average, like on the outside in, looking in, this isn't going to affect them. This isn't going to be like a normal thing that people look at and go, oh yeah, I heard about all this, bullshit. Like, a person that doesn't know anything about D&D is still going to start out probably on the same path right now. But I guarantee you it's a different experience opening up, like a subreddit for D&D, and then seeing all this drama instead of seeing, like, where to even start. You know what I mean? Like, D&D is already a very intimidating hobby to get into. You have to pay $50 for a book, player's handbook, to even start. And then if you want to be a DM, you got to pay $50 for a DM's guide. Starter kit, cool, that works. But to be honest, that's just a lead-in to get you to buy the other books. In fact, these books actively suggest you buy it. I don't know if it's player's handbook or dungeon master's guide, but one of these two just straight up says go buy the starter kit. So, like, that's an issue, because it's already a pretty intimidating hobby to get into, and it only is getting worse. The Wizards of the Coast is shutting down so much of the value that they're trying to build, and it's not good. It's not healthy for them. It's going to get them a lot of money lost in the end. It already has. Again, they're laying off a bunch of employees, and I guarantee you, I don't think any of those employees not a single one of them probably was involved with any of the negative decisions. There could be some of those employees that have actively helped write any of these books on my shelf right here, or helped design some of those magic cards in my dresser right now, or done art maybe even. And that really hurts to see. You know what I mean? Again, some of them might have made some decisions, but at the same time, that's so... It feels like the Wizards of the Coast is punishing the fans for telling them what they actually want to see, and punishing their employees for kind of saying the truth. Hey, you're not listening to people. You should probably listen to people if you want to see things done right, and you want us to make even the bottom line of what we used to make. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not saying they have to listen to every single individual person. That's physically impossible. And it's also impossible to please everyone. Some people have really high expectations. No one, besides people with really high expectations, is asking for Wizards of the Coast to do that. But they are just asking, like, hey, can we understand what you're doing? Because honestly, now I'm starting to even think and wonder, what are they not saying that they're afraid to let loose? What is it that they're just so afraid of us all finding out that they can't just be open? I'm not saying, again, businesses have to keep some things private. That is understandable. That's how you fucking run a business. But when you're silent with literally everything, and you put on a facade like everything's okay, it doesn't help. It makes things so much worse. It's just all falling down. There's not a single positive thing recently. Again, even the things that are positive, like a re-release of 2, from what I heard, pretty good modules. I think it was one of the first to come out for 5th edition. I didn't hear a single thing about it. Again, I'm not saying this is just me. I'm not saying this is everyone. It could have been a popular thing I didn't notice. But I don't know. Community, that's what are you doing, Wizards? Who knows? We're too busy panicking. Yeah, exactly. Like, there is a fixable way to do this. There's a way that all of this can be solved. And I'm not saying it just has to be talked to the fans, but that would be one of the best ways to do it. Not just pin all the blame on, like, one person and then fire 1,000 employees. And by pin all the blame on one person, I mean whoever's name they attach to the OGL apology. You know what I mean? They're probably going to get all the brunt force from this rather than the people who actually made that decision to change that. You know, something that the company said they weren't going to ever change. At this point, get rid of the magic fucking reserve list while you're at it. That's something people actually want, to my knowledge. But at the same time, the shareholders might not. I don't know. I don't really know. Again, I don't want to get into the debate on the reserve list right now because personally, I see benefits and negatives for it. I am a fan who would like to see it removed. But there are people that you have to care about the opinions who have been here longer than I have in the hobbies that respect it for reasons I probably couldn't understand at the current moment. I'd have to do a lot of research on my own or hear it from them to understand. But that's the people you do need to be talking to, in my opinion. The people who who understand the reasons that even some of the most hated decisions do have value, but these ones don't. You can make a good case. I could even make a good case for why the reserve list is probably a good thing in some areas. There are probably some cards that should be removed, in my opinion, because why are they even on there? If they're like 22 cents, there's not really a point. But there's things where you can go, hey, necessary evil, and this is just stupid. Hold on. They need to press release discussing their mistakes in communications and how they plan to move forward and fix these mistakes and what the reasons be. Okay, yeah. Excuse me. If we can understand even a little bit of their decision making, that would help so much. It would be what it's missing. It wouldn't be the fix. They've already done the shitty thing. No amount of them saying, hey, this is exactly why I fucked up is going to fix the mistake they made. But it's not about being a good company or a bad company. It's about, hey, we're trying to be a good company. We made a shitty mistake. Here's how we're going to fix it. Because that's the only way you stop being a bad company. Or how to be a good company is to fix the mistakes you've made. Because, again, I try and look at two sides and say, well, they had a good reason for this or they had a bad reason. There's no good reason. This was just a straight up bad decision. Because they didn't even go like, hey, let's prep this. Let's think about this for a while, this OGL thing. Let's think about that. No, they just were going to slap it out and just release it and then force everyone to comply. How is that positive in any way, shape, or form? Who do they have doing it? By the way, I'm sure I could actually find out Like, I'm sure anyone could go Google, like, the specific staff listed under who's in charge of what thing. But we're never going to hear anything about why those decisions are made like that. The only thing we can get is they want money, and they don't care. That's the only two things we can get. And when those are the two things your company is known for, you're not going to get anything done. You're not going to get anything you're looking for in that. You're literally only going to get negative feedback. You're only going to get the worst because you're being the worst. Do better, and people will see that and try to support it. Now, of course, you're still going to get like a, oh, now you're falling in line or whatever kind of thing. But eventually it will shine through, and people will start seeing, hey, they are starting to do better. And sometimes you'll have people being like, okay, when are they going to fuck up again? When are they going to snap and just release everything again and just do everything wrong again? Like, and if they do mess up even once a little bit, you know what I mean? Maybe people would have a little bit more leniency if you weren't just known for fucking up all the time. Maybe if you could show that growth, people wouldn't be so harsh and critical. That's my point I would like to make with it. It's just, if you could take the steps to do better and show that growth, that you're doing better and you're trying, that's all you're trying to do, people can understand that. The people who can actually view it as that and care will also see that you care. And that's where it's going to grow. That's how it's going to... That is a good way to fix it. That might not be the way, by the way. Again, there could be another way I'm not thinking of in the moment. But that is one of the most healthiest ways right there. Show you care, rather than just one statement being completely radio silent since then. Discuss what decisions led to it rather than just we're selfish, we want money. Because it's not even a selfish thing. I understand a company needing to make money. I could see Hasbro being like, hey, Wizards, we really don't... While you make us pretty much the most money you've ever, we get, we still want more. How are we going to do that? There's even a healthy way to do that. Even if it is for selfish reasons, there's still healthy ways to do it. You know what I mean? There's a healthy way to get that to that conclusion. By talking, figuring out what people want, supplying that not, I don't want to say demand, because some people are being unreasonable demanding. Supply demand. It's a business term. Supply demand. People want something D&D related. I don't know. I don't have any personal things I want to see. I just am waiting for the Planescape release, and then I'm fucking done. But it's just things like that. Just like, you don't know... Again, messing up, there's room for error. Because again, at the end of the day, I like to believe the company's ran by humans and people, but that's the issue. Billion-dollar companies don't care about their public relations and growth, they care about their money. Do you think Wizards would be smart enough to at least act like we're people since we supply them money? Yeah, here's the thing. When you don't view the customer as a person that has opinions and just source of money, you make decisions. Because here's the thing. If we were all just robots who just bought everything they supplied, they'd be super happy. They would. They'd be like, hey, they're buying all the microtransactions for D&D Beyond, and then they're buying all the new books releases. But personally, I've even made it very clear, I'm a massive D&D fan, and I'm not buying literally every book they've ever made. I see no point in getting certain books. I'm trying to think of a specific one that I really don't plan on getting. Ghost of Saltmarsh. I believe that's one of them. I don't ever plan on getting it. I don't see a point to it. It's cool. It's got ship combat. I don't need that. I really don't. I believe there's even ship combat in the Dungeons Master Guides right there. There's some things I thought were going to be cool upon release. There's some things I want to get with that, but, like, for example, I kind of want to get Icewind Dale because that was going to be one of the first books I ever got, but I never ended up getting it, sadly. But there's a reason for that that's not even what's in the book, practically. Because here's the thing. I have not gotten to a point in my life where I can actually run any, because everything from this left is adventures. I can't exactly run any of these. I actually tried running one of these and it went really bad. Not because on my part, the module itself just was not what the players were looking for at the time, and we fast forwarded and got to the end, and now we're having a little bit more fun. But I'm not to a point yet where I can run literally any of these. And I want to one day, and that's why I'm supplying them now and getting them now just for later, that way I can end up doing it. But in the current moment, it's just... I honestly wish I could tell people, hey, this is not a good time to start. Wait to see where it's going, or do it all now and then jump ship. Don't fucking go anymore, because if you go anymore, it's just going to be the norm. We can't let that become the norm, because if that becomes the norm, then Wizards just gets away with it, but they'll keep doing what they feel like they can get away with. because they know they're sitting there like, oh, we know, no matter how much backlash we get, we're going to be able to get away with whatever we want, because at the end of the day, we're in charge. Yeah, they are in charge at the end. They are right by saying that, but I'll be real with you. No matter how bad Wizards of the Coast fucks up or messes up, the communities of Magic the Gathering and D&D, they won't learn. I know. Hear me out. The communities around Magic the Gathering and D&D will stay healthy. I'll put it like this. D&D is different with every release that comes out. With every book that comes out, the scape of D&D, just the whole thing as a whole, becomes a different version, I want to say. I'll put it like that even. With the release of every new supplement source book, or even some modules that even have new character options, they change D&D. They basically make it a new edition, like a micro edition. It's like how one of your games you have on like your phone or your Xbox, or I have an Xbox, sorry, or your device you play video games on, gets a minor update and it's like, hey, we added this character and this character. It changes. There's usually a little number that says it's version game 1.5.3. This is like 5th edition 0.64 because it's like the 64 book coming out. I don't know what number we're on, but you understand what I mean. And there are people that are at one point just going to stop at the newest release. Like, again, I'm probably stopping at Planescape. I don't see a reason to continue because I just like the idea from what I've heard of it. I haven't seen anything of it because there's nothing to see yet because they're still making it at the moment. But, Jesus Christ, that fucking part in my hair. I really don't like it. That don't look good either. I look like I'm fucking bald. I'm not, though. I don't know. Anyway, or, for example, if they make a really shitty set after the Phyrexian set, because that's already leaked and showed all the spoilers and it kind of looks like it's got some merit, people can just stop there. Like, again, like if you go to a tournament, people are going to be using the new cards, but nothing's stopping kitchen table play, or kitchen table or D&D, you know what I mean? We are all mongrels that will find a way to play. Yes, exactly. We're just going to continue playing what we know was good at one point. Again, I'm stopping soon. I plan to stop. I'm happy with what I got right now. I just see one thing that I might have merit if they do it right. You know what I mean? But I keep messing with this tassel. I just like it. It's fun. And this ain't even a D&D like core book. This is actually a third-party one from an old Gary Gygax module. It's Expedition to Barrier Peaks. But like I said, there's just a couple things that like fit my niche that I really like. And then I mentioned that earlier. I play with a playgroup that doesn't really get upgrades to their decks. They don't exactly just go and say... I genuinely can't think of the last 6 sets that's had a card that person in mind who plays a deck called Morph. I cannot think of a card that's been in the last 8 sets that hasn't been a card that's... No, I can't think of a card that's been in the last 8 sets that they've even considered including. Because it's just... Not because they don't like Magic or Wizards of the Coast or anything, because their deck is already good how it is and they don't want to change it. It just works how it is. That's the thing. We don't have to evolve with something that is evolving in a negative way, but when we can just stay how it is. Of course, I plan to still go to tournaments and stuff. I'm going to encounter new cards every day whenever I go there. Some cards aren't even new. They're old, but I'm going to... I purchased at least 3 cards from the new set. They're all about $5 at most, but there are some cards that are really going to warp the format in some ways. And I will dabble in some of those, but I'm definitely not buying packs as much as I used to, or opening them, or Secret Layers even. The Transformers Secret Layer was my first one, and only because I like Transformers. And I built a whole gimmick deck around it. It's not because I genuinely was like, hey, Magic the Gathering... No, I was. I combined 2 things I enjoy, Magic and Transformers, and it re-sparked a childhood joy I had. But at the same time, I don't go crack packs anymore. I get some packs. I get at least 2 packs per set, but you don't see me going after what my friends call chase cards, or specific cards that would be really good to have whenever I just buy not third party, I buy from a specific card from an LGS rather than cracking a pack until I get it. I did it with Brothers War because I really liked the set, and that seemingly was something they almost did pretty well, honestly. I think that was pretty solid, and also I really liked, again, the Transformers gimmick they had with it. I respected some of the decisions they made with it, while other people have reasons for not liking it, and I respect those opinions as well, because again, why the hell is Transformers and Magic the Gathering? I don't know, but I'm going to enjoy it while it's here. It's the whole thing. It's just... Again, you can't make everyone happy, but you can make certain people happy with decisions you do. Just little silly things you include. And that's fun. that is what a company should try to do. And it really just feels like they tried to do something for their own reasons, and that's fine if you do it right, but they didn't even think about the possibility of doing it right. Or maybe they did and they just changed their minds, but we can't see any of that. We can't see any of that decision process. Whenever you only produce bad stuff and it looks negative, you can't show the growth. You can't show that there was something good there at one point, or that it's getting better, because we've only seen the negative. That's all we're going to keep seeing. We'll either see the bare minimum of what they could do, or we'll see bad stuff. Like, again, I'm not in any way saying Wizards of the Coast is just impossible to make a right decision, or Hasbro, either company, because they're basically the same company, or one's a subsidiary, I believe, I think is the word, of Hasbro. But it really sucks whenever they're seemingly just, it's their mission to kill the joy of the people that actually can see what's going on. Because eventually, yeah, you do get into a hobby enough where you start, seeing that stuff. And they're really kind of just hoping no one wakes up and sees that. No one wakes up and goes, huh, I'm noticing something a bit fishy here. Why is this like that? You know what I mean? They're kind of just hoping no one asks questions and they stay like that. Their ideal customer that they're appealing to is the people that don't ask questions and the people that don't look into that stuff. Because they kind of just see it as like oh, well, they don't need to know all this stuff anyway, because it's not... Again, companies can have secrets. It's part of it. That's how they can surprise us with actual good decisions sometimes. But when they're out to do this is, I don't want to say exploitive, but, because again, if you don't have competition, you can give us whatever you want, and that's what you want to give us. That's fine. If that's what they enjoy doing, that's what they enjoy doing. But it's almost like they don't understand what they're doing wrong, and people are trying to tell them, and they just don't want to hear it. And again, I honestly don't even want to use the word they're doing something wrong. They're doing things for goals that we do not understand. And we do understand one of them. It's they want money. And they're also not doing anything to hide that goal. They're not even trying to. Or if they do, it's the most half-assed fucking excuse ever of, we could have, done all this bad stuff with that OGL, but we weren't gonna. Like, we just had that in there just in case we had to. It's sickening. It really is, because again, they don't have competition. That's good. That's fine. They know that they did good before, and they're just writing that off now. They're just like going, yeah, we did perfect. Now we can do no wrong. You can do wrong. If you stop doing what we liked you for in the first place, we're not going to like that anymore. Or we're not going to support the new stuff. We'll only stick with the stuff we know was good at one point, or we could handle, or we actually enjoyed. We're not going to go after this new stuff that is not garbage, because there are still employees that care. There are still a lot of employees that care there. I can tell that. Because, again, there's people who care enough to at least tell us that Hasbro isn't giving a fuck. You know what I mean? But those are the minority now. Those aren't the majority anymore. And that honestly sucks, because there's a lot of decisions that... And this is a Twizzler. There's a lot of decisions that they could be making that aren't a difficult decision to make. It's something just as simple as saying, oh, hey, we heard that people... Here's the thing. They pander. They only seem to deal with the people that are complaining, so the bigger picture's not seen by the people who don't realize that there's something going on. They'll fix any issue that they see that people are going to bring up, and then they'll be like, yeah, see, we fixed it. Nothing was happening. Don't look into it. That's what they do every time. I remember specifically when Spelljammer came out, they had to do something where they changed the Hadozi race because people were complaining that there was a racial comparison between real life. And personally, I can see both sides, like I said. I can see, yes, that's a negative thing if that's how people are playing it, but I just kind of see a monkey like an animal, like nothing. Racism is not something you're just born with. That's just something that you fucking learn over time and just become something that shouldn't be a thing. Because it's terrible. There's no point to racism. Stereotypes are just... While some can be more apparent, that doesn't mean that's just everyone. You know what I mean? And just because a racial background has been the same for years and just people aren't... Because someone can draw a comparison by making a stretch that kind of hurts. I'm not going to go into this because it's a very controversial topic and I'm not educated enough to talk about it. I have my own opinions on it. I don't personally give it. I don't care. It's not my area to dabble in. And if people are getting offended by something, that's okay. You can be offended by something, and you can talk about that. You know what I mean? And honestly, that you can look at it one way of Wizards either really cared about their opinions, or they just got them to shut up by putting out, they took everything down from it. The only way to have it is in physical release now. And I had it before they changed anything. It's just, that's the thing. Whenever you can look at previous decisions that they've made with the new stuff that's coming out, like I said, removing anything that could be, I believe the term is woke, but I'm not trying to use that to be offensive. I'm trying to say, like, anything that could be against people's new agendas and viewpoints on life. I'm not saying anything trying to be political, or I'm not trying to do that, but it really seems like they don't actually care about that stuff, and they're just saying that so you buy their new book and don't think about it. It really doesn't seem like that when looking at it through the light of what they're doing now. Again, I'm not trying to say the fact that they've changed anything like that is a bad thing or a good thing. I'm not. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm trying to propose the idea of think about that. Really look at the decisions that they've made every time they actually do listen. It's not because they want to listen to you. They don't give a fuck what you're saying. They really don't. They believe that their internal marketing or whatever they're doing to get their answers is the best way to do it, and they're going to keep doing that. They're not going to change. We just have to watch it all crumble. But if you look at the things they have changed, was it really because someone... Is it really because they were like, yeah, we agree, that's why we released it in the first place? Or was it because, oh, hey, they're going to make them notice that we're not doing something right, we need to shut that down pretty quick? Given to their demands, and then we'll worry about it later. Like, it doesn't look weak to say that you did something wrong. They did it. They didn't do it for the right reasons. I'm explaining why I personally feel like they did it. The right reasons would be, hey, we actually know we messed up, and we're not forced to do this so you don't keep canceling D&D Beyond subscriptions. The right reason is, hey, we as a company have really, really wronged what we're trying to actually do. Because, here's the thing, they're not actually trying to do what they're saying. If they're trying to make things better, they're not. You can so easily see that. You can tell nothing they're going to do moving forward is for the benefit of the customer. It is all for money. All of it. There's not a single decision. Besides, there's a few things that will shine through from the people that do care. There is still things that people do still care about, that are shining through every day with every release that they do. Or, I don't know if there's a release every day, but you know what I mean. There are still people that can somehow form, that can somehow push through the crowd of negative, and it'll shine through. And sometimes you'll never know who those people are, like, behind the scenes. You'll never know who actually managed to get their voice heard through and give good change. I can tell you now, out of those 1,000 people that are being fired, a lot of them are them. It's not going to be people that are going to be... Why lay off what you already think is perfect compared to the things that seem like outliers? You know what I mean? Like, it feels like a sense of ego, if that makes sense, of, we know we're doing right, so why is everyone mad? It's like that one meme from The Simpsons where I believe it's the principal who's sitting there like, am I wrong? No, it's the people that are wrong. I don't remember the exact quote, but if you Google what I'm talking about, you'll see exactly examples of what I'm talking about, but it's like so obvious that there's something wrong there. But, I don't know, I guess they just can't read the room or anything else. It feels like they genuinely just have a team of people in a room, locked away, that they open the door, unlock the vault door, go in, say, hey, what'd you do? What'd you make? Okay, give us that. We'll leave. We'll lock you away. Make sure you don't talk to no one outside. Make sure you just keep doing you, and we will not tell you anything, including if we know something's going to get negative reception. Like, again, if the Hadozi was such a problem and they knew that they should have removed it, why did they wait until after they released it to remove it? I'm not trying to talk about the controversy surrounding it. I'm just trying to talk about the fact that they did remove it, or the fact that they released it like that in the first place if it was so negative. Think about that. That's the only one I'm thinking of because that's one that's recent. That's the only reason I'm bringing that one up. I'm not trying to say I'm against or for it. I do have my own personal opinions, but that's not what this is supposed to only be. This is supposed to be an informative, constructive criticism. I don't know. like I said, a company shouldn't be expected to do everything right. There are things... There's always room for error. There really is. But I'm going to leave it off here with, again, if error is all you do, then no one's going to want you to keep doing anything. There's no point. If you can't do it right, don't do it at all. But anyway, that's been my discussion on, like, just the Wizards of the Coast and OGL stuff. It's just something I wanted to bring up and just rant about, but, like, I didn't know really what to do, so I made a live stream / video about it. If any of you disagree with me, I'm fine to hear that. I would like to actually talk about this, discuss this more. I feel like I've laid out all my points, though, and honestly, I do kind of feel like they're valid points, because while some of it, yeah, came off as a little bit hateful, I'm not trying to just say Wizards is incapable of doing anything right. I'm not. That's not where I'm trying to come out. It's just... doing better is an option, and they seem to be avoiding that option. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, thank you guys. If you want to hear more random rants like this, feel free to like and subscribe. But yeah, I'm going to get going. I'm tired. It is 2 a.m. almost. And I got work tomorrow. So y'all have a great night or day, depending on what time you're watching this. And I will see you guys next time.